consider to be
Right, for
American
sure.
dream.
So okay, so it seems like it's when your parents came over, your dad is grinding. He's trying to
Hmm.
kind of create this more stability for you, your brother, your mom. So did he kind of talk to you at all, or at what point did he start talking to you about maybe money growing up, saving, investing, or was that never the conversation just because he was trying to I guess make it, so to speak, and get stabilized or
Yeah.
stabilized or a place for
Yeah, so it's funny because my mom, she actually, she actually taught like personal finance in
okay.
in college. But I guess just because she just saw that as like her job, she
Yeah.
didn't really think of that as like, oh, I'm gonna go teach my kids about personal finance. So
Mm.
while they kind of were trying to like manage their finances and everything, it was never really something they talked to us about. Like in some cultures, including ours, it's like kind of taboo to talk about money. It's more of something where like, yeah, you do your best, but you don't really go talk about it. Like you don't talk about what you're doing. You don't talk about whether you're struggling to make ends meet or things are easy or what have you. But what I would say is when I was so because my dad was kind of just grinding, like you said, trying to make it, his mindset wasn't really about investing and things like that. Like there were times, you could say in bubbles where like the dot-com bubble and stuff where everybody was getting into it.
Right.
And so for that reason, he was probably along with that whole herd of people just putting money in the stock market. So he ended up, I'm pretty sure, which he hasn't told me for sure, but I feel like from what I can remember at that time, I remember him kind of being down in the dumps a little bit after that dot-com bubble, and I feel like he was trying to like kind of
Hit it big.
because he saw that working at MSU we were barely able to make ends meet, so he wanted an opportunity to kind of multiply his wealth pretty quickly, and probably invested a lot at that point in time,
Right.
and unfortunately didn't pan out for him. And actually, when we ended up moving from the student apartments to the suburbs, was when my mom got hired to work for the county health department.
Oh.
Excuse me. And so we moved out to the suburbs, and my dad at that point, he had actually just got laid off because again, 2008 financial crisis and all that stuff, and they were laying people off. And actually, he had lost his job. Matter of fact, earlier in like 2002, 3, because what happened was after 9/11, there was a lot of kind of like racism towards people from the Middle East, and he worked in his field was agriculture. Excuse me, one second. His field was agriculture, and if you don't know about agriculture, that's a field that's heavily dominated by, you could say, like white, lower to middle class farmers. So all the jobs that he would, be eligible for, he would go to like Georgia, and you're talking in the 90s, 2000s. So it was still, there wasn't any diversity down south when you go into those areas in the farms in Georgia and Florida, and where he would be eligible for a job. So anytime he would go there, he'd pretty much come back very disheartened at the fact they wouldn't even give him an opportunity. Like as soon as they see his name, they pretty much write him off. Like they might have him come in, but they pretty much wouldn't really give him the time of day, wouldn't give him an opportunity. So that took his career down a path where he really couldn't do anything. His hands were tied. And at that point, he tried to start his own business. So he said, okay, let me try to start like a, lawn care business. Cause I know agriculture, I know, grass and, the different sciences of everything. So let me try to start like an organic lawn care business. He tried that. Financial crisis hits. He couldn't even make a profit. He ended up losing money on that. So it was just one thing after the other for him, just not working out. And so for me to see that, it kind of, I would say it probably did have an impact on me because it kind of put me off from business and investing at that point. Cause I'm looking at it like, man, like every time I see him try to invest in anything or do anything, it just goes south, So it may have even had a more negative impact at that point as compared to, let's say, if he just didn't even invest at all or didn't have any businesses, then at least I have like a neutral, like, okay, I'm gonna, try to invest in this business or whatever. But because I had seen him struggle so much with business and investing, that kind of put me off to the point where I was just like, okay, let me just stick to school, that the normal, get a
Right.
9 to 5, job that doesn't matter if I like it, if I don't, whatever, it just pays the bills. Because I was in that survival mindset
Right.
at that
Right.
point. So yeah, that's pretty much a summary of kind of my interaction with my parents as it pertains to investing and things like that.